Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The next story is titled, Come Pick Me Up. I'm not a taxi miss. I'm self-employed, although I do on occasions work on a car wash site, but that's just voluntary work to help out my dad, and today I'm working for myself. Just on my way to my first job when I get a phone call. A private number. Not unusual for me, I do work for a lot of businesses, so naturally I answer the phone and the conversation goes something exactly like this. Hello, it's ABCDEF, I was wondering where are you? ABCDEF? I'm sorry, I don't do any work for you or your company. There's a long pause, before a siren-pitched scream comes down the line. You were meant to be here an hour ago to pick me up and take me to work. Where the duck are you? I cleared my throat. Ma'am, I don't know you. Why would I pick you up and take you? She cuts me off. Of course you don't know me, you're a taxi driver. Now get over to my address 123 Madup Street and get me to work. I am already late because of you. Miss, I'm sorry, but I'm not a taxi driver and I've no idea where that street even is. I don't even know if it's even in the same city as me. She sighs. The longest sigh you could possibly imagine. Just pick me up. She hangs up. About 5 minutes pass and I'm still wondering what the hell just happened when I get a text message. I'm sorry about my wife yelling at you. She dialed the wrong number off by 1 digit. Sorry, pal. Edit, I've since received another call from the woman. I assume her husband made her call and apologize, and well, she did. She also went into detail as to why she was so angry. She had called and scheduled a taxi on Friday to pick her up Monday. The taxi company gave her a number of the driver that was supposed to be picking her up, and he actually quit the same Friday, apparently just a few hours later. She told me over the phone she obviously didn't know this. And her new taxi driver picked her up and explained it all to her. She was actually kind of nice and understood she was in the wrong this morning, just the stress of having booked a taxi that then doesn't turn up. And apparently didn't have any coffee, so she was miserable. Oh, and for those wondering, it turns out from where I live and where she lives, well, it's a 4-hour drive distance, so I don't think I'd have got there in time anyway. The next story is titled, Lady Found My Home Number in a Leaflet. So I was sitting and watching the telly when my home phone rings. And expecting other calls that day. I answer. It is a woman with a very heavy foreign accent. I wouldn't want to guess where from. But it made her very difficult to understand. I shall be me. And she shall be RL. For rude lady. Me, hello? RL, yes, hello. I was just calling about unintelligible that you are offering at this time. Me, pardon? I can't quite hear you. RL, I said very clearly that I was just calling about this offer. I see you are advertising about the installation of the insulations. Said very drawn out and slow. Me, I'm sorry. The what? RL, I said stupid idiot. The offer that you are advertising on insulations that you are doing. Me, I'm really sorry. But I think you must have the wrong number. You've called my house phone. RL, no. You stupid person. I have called correctly from your advertisement on a leaflet. Me, look. Don't you dare call me stupid when you have clearly misdialed the bloody number. I am telling you, woman. You have called my home. My personal house phone. I am not a business. RL, I will call you stupid as you are clearly a stupid unintelligible who has no clue how to run a business. I am telling you, stupid idiot, that I have called the right number. Now do you help me with this or do I get you fired for being too stupid? Me, right. I will ask you once before I hang up. Read out the number on the leaflet. Go on. Tell me the number and it will prove that you have misdialed. RL, fine. Listen closely, stupid person. It is gives my home number. Do you see? Let me read it again. Reads it slowly and clearly. And again, it is my home number. Now do you see, stupid person? You see I am right? Me, look. I don't know what to say here. That is the number for my personal house phone. I don't know where you got the leaflet, but it must have the wrong number on it. I can't help you. I am going to hang up now. I hang up. really angry at how rude she was, and hoping that she had gotten the hint. I was wrong. The phone rings again and I answer, immediately recognizing her voice. Me, hello? RL, hello, yes. I am calling about the offer that you are. Me, look, lady. You have called my personal number again. I don't know why my number is in a leaflet, but I am not the person you need to call. RL, I have just had it with you. I called correctly the right number on your leaflet and I am sick of talking to unintelligible, so stupid, and want to speak to your supervisor right now, and I shall have you fired for being an idiotic, stupid little slur. Do you understand? Me, that is it. I have had it. If you are too thick to get that you aren't calling a duck business, then I shall just keep hanging up on you. Now get the hint and duck off you. I hang up before she can get another word in, but the phone rings again immediately. I am shaking in anger at this point. Me, hello? RL, that is it. You give me the number of a supervisor right now. I will not be spoken to this way by. Me, don't you dare call me another word. Not another word. I'm sorry, but you can't have the right number. Read it out again. She tries to rant at me, but tell her to shut up and read the number. RL gives number, but this time one number is different. Me, wait, hold on. That number is different now. Read it again. Same as before, one number different to mine. I don't believe it. You did call the wrong number. That one you read out is one number different to my house phone. You have misdialed. RL, I have called correctly. I have the number on my telephone right now. You stupid person. I can see that it is my number, and on the leaflet it is correct number, so. Oh, wait. Oh. Me, did you realize you made a mistake? Stupid person? RL, goodbye. She hung up, hopefully feeling embarrassed and stupid. The next story is titled, Lady Yells at Me for Eating My Cupcake. When I was in 7th grade, there was a bake sale going on to raise funds for the school, and by raise funds for the school I mean help the head of the PTA buy her purse, but that's a different story, and since the people behind the counter were middle schoolers, there was no uniform. A lady was picking her son up. I knew the kid. Nice guy, early for whatever reason, and the kid asked if she could buy him a cupcake. She goes, in a classic Karen voice, "Of course, honey. I'm also there, buying a cupcake because I was and still am a fat ass." She goes up and tries to buy something with a $5 bill, but is told she can't get change. This angers her, as there's no way she will let them hold on to an extra $3.50. She looks over to me, walking into the auditorium, the quickest way to get to the cafeteria, and assumes that I'm one of the people that are supposed to be behind the counter. This was the middle of a period, so there was barely anyone in the halls. So she goes up to me and says, "Hey kid, you have 3.50? I respond with, "No miss. I'm poor." She doesn't appreciate my joke and goes, "Ugh. You kids have no respect for your elders." I take a bite of the cupcake I bought and she yells at me for taking away what's hers. I bought it before she even got in the line. I try to leave, but she grabs me by the shoulder and starts yelling at me even more. Say things like how I'm disrespectful and how I'm probably on the spectrum. Hey. She actually predicted that since I found that out a year later, and blah blah. The head of the PTA comes over and asks, imagine a mixture of a bratty 30-year-old with a heavy Spanish accent. That's her voice. What happened? The M responds with, "Why can't you give me change?" They get into an argument, which eventually has PTA lady give her the 3.50 that the M wanted. M turns to me and goes, "See? Was that so hard?" and happily walked away. My friend, her son, came over to me and said, "As you can see, I regret everything," which made me laugh. Still sad that I could think of anything witty to say to her. The next story is titled, I Was Fired 3 months after I quit. This all happened many moons ago when I was 16. My first job was a hot springs pool as a lifeguard. The water park featured a few large hot tub pools, a cold pool, and 2 water slides where only one ever worked at any one time. I worked there during the winter when everything was open, including the slide, outside of the one cold pool. There were many odd things about the job, one of which was that I was expected to sit outside in a little uninsulated shack. fully clothed with a coat on and guard people's lives. I was never sure exactly what I would have done if someone would have gone under and needed me to go in. Another odd thing is that I was paid from a personal check from the manager. I never really understood that one. I worked there, for minimum wage, for one fall and winter. When springtime came, I was hired by another large pool, that was much closer to my home for an actual lifeguarding job. Where this was my first job, my dad was trying to teach me how to be a gainful-feeling employed and responsible individual and said it was customary to provide 2 weeks' notice. He also said that 1 month notice was more appropriate if the job is one where they cannot go without my position. We decided that I would give 1 month notice, since there were only 3 lifeguards and they would need to hire a replacement. I gave my notice in February and said I would work for 1 month. After that date came and passed, I got a call from the manager who was upset that I hadn't come into work. I told him that my 1 month was past and that I had quit. He asked me to work a bit longer until they could find my replacement. The manager kept scheduling me and I kept working. But each time I ran into him, he wasn't always there. In the evenings, I would remind him that I had quit. By May, he was still scheduling me, so I left him a note that I wouldn't be coming in anymore and that I wouldn't be checking the schedule anymore. He called me the next Friday night, apparently a shift I was scheduled for, and chewed me out over not coming into work. He told me that I wasn't responsible enough to work when scheduled, that he would have to fire me. I yelled back into the phone, "You can't fire someone who quit 3 months ago." He kept yelling at me and telling me how horrible of an employee I was and how I'll never be able to hold down a job as an adult. My dad was in the room and could hear every word he said, and he finally took the phone from me and delivered a rebuke so satisfying that it belonged in a Liam Neeson movie. My dad is not someone that raises his voice, but he has this way of talking quieter that scares the crap out of you. He finished his talk by telling my long-since former manager that he would be driving out to the hot springs to finish their conversation. He never drove out. He thought it would be more painful on the guy, who was fairly young himself, to have to wonder when my dad was going to show up. The next story is titled, "Woman Grabs My Girlfriend and I Snap." So me and my girlfriend were out just trying to enjoy our day. So we go to a local bookstore. It's a small place and the owners are friends of my girlfriend's family, and we help out every now and again, so we have a key to get in when they're closed. A woman sees us opening the door and asks if we're open. I tell her we're just running errands for the owners and that the store isn't open. She gets upset at me, demanding we let her in, saying, "It's just me. You're not gonna get sick from one person," or some crap like that. My girlfriend tries to tell her we can't let anyone in because then we have to let everybody in and we aren't the owners. So the woman goes to snatch the key from my girlfriend and grabs her wrist. My girlfriend is having a panic attack. I should mention my girlfriend has PTSD and anxiety issues. So I grab the woman's wrist and pressure point her to get her to let go of my girlfriend and shove her and start berating her, using pretty colorful language. She tackles me and I punch her. Cops are called by some passers-by, I guess, and they come over and tear her off of me and ask what the hell happened. Woman tries to argue we assaulted her and that she was just trying to pick up a book for her son. We tell him to check the cameras for the store because we know there are cameras watching the door that see almost into the street. He proceeds to arrest the woman. I get a warning to not be so aggressive next time and my foster's called. I'm 16. Now I'm grounded for fighting and can't leave the house for a month. The next story is titled, "Wearing a Mask Equals You're an Employee." It used to be fairly rare for me to get asked if I was an employee of a business I was in. I'm pretty sure I can count on one hand the number of times it happened before the pandemic hit. But now, I've been mistaken for an employee 3 times in the last week. And I'm reasonably sure it's because I'm wearing a mask. Around here, most, if not all of the employers are mandating everyone wear masks. The public, well, not so much. Just yesterday I had to go from the gym straight to the grocery store. So I'm in my gym clothes and mask, trying to dodge around the folks who aren't paying attention to their surroundings. When a guy yells at me, "Hey, where can I find X?" I looked at him, confused why he'd be asking me, when I'm clearly in gym clothes with a purse and everything. The one good thing about the encounter is Buddy recognized his mistake almost immediately and apologized. At least that encounter ended positively. I'm worried that it's not going to always be the case. The next story is titled, Get Me Fired from the Store I No Longer Work At? If you say so, Karen. This happened when I was 17, in 2007. I'd dropped out of school but was still living with my dad and working full-time. I'd moved away from my mum for reasons not reliant to this story. I'd been working at a grocery store down the street from the house we were living in for about a month before I quit. We traveled around a lot for Dad's work. The work was great and I got along well with most of the staff, some of the customers. Not so much, but I was accused of stealing, which is why I quit. On my lunch break one day, my supervisor took my till into the back room for me while I went for lunch. We were supposed to do it ourselves, but my naive self didn't think to question it. Not my smartest move. At the end of the day, when I was in the back room counting my till, I came up $50 short, which I knew was a mistake because I would never steal money. My supervisor denied taking my till and the manager took her side, so I decided where they could shove the job. On to the story. A week later I had to pick up the essentials, so I begrudgingly went there to get what I needed. I should mention that the store uniform was a bright red t-shirt and black pants, and I was wearing a light blue singlet and bright colored rainbow shorts. I was on my way to the deli when I heard someone behind me say, "Excuse me," but didn't think much of it as I no longer worked there. A few seconds later I heard someone say, "Excuse me," even louder, so I turned around. It was a customer I recognized as a Karen. She would come in every few days and would expect everyone to bow to her every whim and complain about prices or stock not being available. Me, "Can I help you?" Probably the wrong thing to say, but the first thing that came out of my mouth. "Karen, we are the rice cakes?" Me, "I dunno. Probably with the chips?" I had only ever worked at the registers, so didn't know the layout of the store very well. Karen, "No, they're not. Go find them for me." Me, "Go find them yourself. I'm not your maid." Karen, "How dare you speak to me like that? I'm going to get you fired." Me, finally understanding, "I don't work here." Karen, "Yes you do. You're here all the time. Why aren't you in uniform anyway? This is horrible customer service! Exclamation mark. I'll get you fired, young lady." Me, "I quit last week, so go your hardest. I'm glad I don't have to put up with nightmare twats like you anymore. So you can shove your rice cakes right up your freckle and find someone who cares." I didn't wait for a response and just turned and walked away. It felt so good to tell her where to shove it after putting up with her crap for a month. I received a call from Target the day after I'd quit regarding the job application I'd placed there and was given a job there a few days later. I still can't believe my luck and the perfect timing. And although working at Target was better, it wasn't short on Karens, and I have many Karen stories from my work in retail which I'll share in future posts. The next story is titled, I Guess I Know Too Much About Fish. I've had freshwater fish tanks for 18 years now. I love the hobby. I even spent 6 years working for a public aquarium. I bring this up as a basis to prove that I have spent lots of time learning about all kinds of fish. To the point that most of my family and friends are sick of hearing me go on about it. This instance happened a couple of years ago. At the time I would go to the same mum and pop pet store that specializes in tropical fish about once per week to see what they had and get supplies. So I was familiar with the layout. Since it isn't a chain or anything, the employees don't wear a uniform or name tags. The cast, Dude and myself. I'm looking at tropical fish swimming around, and Dude approaches me. "Dude, excuse me, what can you tell me about this fish?" Points at some African cichlids. Logic leaves my brain and my inner fish nerd is awakened. Me, "Yeah, those are African cichlids." And I proceed to tell him all the facts I know about them. Dude, "Okay, would they get along with these fish?" Me, "It depends on your tank. But not really, because they require different pH and water hardness." This goes on for some time as I lead him around the fish tanks and answer his questions. Dude, "Okay, I'll take 3 tetras and one of those catfish. Can you bag them up and cash me out?" Me, "Oh, I don't work here." Naive stare. Dude, flustered, "Oh, I didn't realize. Wait, then why did you tell me all that? Why do you know so much about fish?" Me, "You are going to buy these fish. Why don't you know more about them?" Dude, "Fair enough. Frankly, I was just happy to talk with another aquarium hobbyist. I know this isn't as wild as most of the stories I've come to enjoy here. Apologies for the lack of conflict. The next story is titled, I do work here but here isn't where you think it is, wholesome. I work at a public library in a US town with a fairly common name, think Springfield, or Hillcrest, or Franklin. For the purposes of this story, let's call it Riverdale. This afternoon I answered the phone, and a pleasant-sounding man asked if we had a certain book on military history. I looked it up in the catalog. We have it, and it should be in, but let me check the shelf before you come out in the pouring rain. He said, "Oh, is it raining by you?" That struck me as a little odd, since Tropical Storm Faye is drenching the whole region. I came back to the desk with the book, and asked for his name. There was no such person in our patron database. He started to give me his library card number, and I cut him off after the first few digits. It was completely wrong for a library card number in our system. He said, "Aren't you part of the county name library?" I couldn't help it. I laughed loudly, and then I apologized to him. I said, "This is the Riverdale Public Library in state. County name is in another state, over 1.000 miles from my library. Apparently one of their branches has the same common name as our town." He laughed, too, and apologized for making go find the book. I told him that it was fine, since it gave me a reason to laugh, and a funny story to tell my co-workers. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comment.